Good morning, everybody. My name is Robin Shumays, and I am presenting to you today Bluer Than Blue, Purple Rain and the Chromatic Journey from Damnation to Salvation. So, rising up like a phoenix from the ashes of the blaxploitation film era was a little black film that could. Purple Rain. By the early 1980s, blaxploitation as we had come to know it was essentially dead, as was the style of string orchestrated wah-wah pedal funk sounds that carried the stories. Black music stations largely turned their attention to the repetitive pulsation of disco until the musical landscape shifted again with the new genre called rap. While there is no universally agreed upon last film, the movie Penitentiary in 1979 has been cited as a transitional feature marking the beginning of the end of the era. Suffering a similar fate was the Black Power movement, which fueled many of the stories of self-determination that defined blaxploitation. The period between 1977 and 1982 saw the demise of the Black Panther Party and similar movements, and thus a revolution floundered before it could be televised. 1981 ushered forth a different kind of revolution for those of us coming of age at this time, and it was one of the most electric moments in pop culture history. A music video station called MTV. With constant rotation of music videos, MTV took mere pop and rock stars and transformed them into supernovas. But for the first years of the channel's inception, something was missing. Black folks. The late, great David Bowie famously challenged MTV VJ Mark Goodman on the clearly evident racial bias around which music videos got airplay on the station. I know, I love that. Goodman sheepishly stated that MTV's rock format and the preferences of the predominantly white audiences were what influenced the decision. He said viewers in the Midwest would be scared to death of Prince. Then here comes Michael Jackson, who was originally from the Midwest, by the way, tearing down doors with his stunning music video for Billie Jean, followed by the legendary moonwalking performance of the song on Motown 25. Michael's star power was becoming an insurmountable force to be reckoned with, a fact that MTV could no longer deny. Michael stated that artists weren't taking advantage of what music videos could be, and he set out to create short films instead. With the subsequent release of videos for Beat It and Thriller, he became the biggest star on planet Earth. Meanwhile, Prince, also from the Midwest, was on tour for his 1999 album and began drafting a story in a notebook on his off hours. The running title at the time was Dreams. Clearly determined to take what Michael did to another level, he set his sights on creating a full-length feature film. Dreams eventually became Purple Rain, and the film tells the story of a talented but troubled musician struggling with the tumultuous family life, his complex relationship with his girlfriend, and rivalry with other musicians in the scene. While most would consider Purple Rain to be an extension of the blaxploitation genre, for me, it wouldn't have existed without it. It's a dark and gritty film that explored a certain kind of Black street life and strife. From a production standpoint, it was an almost completely grassroots endeavor. Taking a page out of the notebooks of Melvin Van Peebles and Rudy Ray Moore, Prince largely funded the film himself, and he chose his friends to star alongside him. From the moment of its release, Purple Rain became an instant classic and put Prince on the same level as Mr. Jackson. I know that's debatable, but for me it was. So those of us who experienced the debut of the film, the music videos, and the soundtrack in real time have a deep nostalgic connection to the movie. It's the reason why many of us became Prince fans. In the 40 years since its release, which is crazy, I've seen the film probably more than 100 times. I lost count at about 35 views in 1987. Because of this, I had a hard time getting my footing with writing this presentation. As Kirsty said, what, after all, could I say about Purple Rain that hasn't already been said? How could I write a piece that wasn't mushy teenage reminiscence? So I started thinking about an essay I had come across a few years ago by writer Elwin Cotman entitled, Is He Okay? In his writing, Cotman discusses screening the film for his class of high school sophomores. During the screening, a concerned student asked if the kid was okay, as it appeared to her he was having a nervous breakdown. Cotman writes, if is he okay, a question afforded Black men, George Floyd and many others would still be alive. Now, although I don't agree with every assessment Cotman makes in the full article, it did awaken the idea for me that there is a powerful narrative about the state of mental health for all the Black men in the film that I had previously overlooked. Mental health in the Black community is a complicated topic. Research has shown that BIPOC communities are far less likely to recognize or seek treatment for significant mental health challenges. There are several psychosocial factors that contribute to this, such as a reluctance to burden others and the notion that having endured so much already, we're strong and resilient enough to handle anything on our own. Not to mention the fact that treatment for mental health is seen for being those who could afford shrinks in Beverly Hills. In 2006, 46 Black male college students were asked to be part of a study that focused on their attitudes about mental health, their comfort levels with discussing issues or seeking help. An article on the study, written by Daphne C. Watkins and Howard W. Neighbors, stated the men disclosed that they do not talk about their mental health often because expressing their mental health challenges to another individual may place them at a point of vulnerability. When we first meet the kid, backlighting and smoke reveal only his silhouette. The imagery is intentionally apocalyptic, but it feels like a new beginning more than an end. On stage, he's positively electrifying. Clearly a wunderkind, he moves from vocals to guitar to piano throughout the song. He even displays a sense of humor, hopping atop the piano to play it with his heeled boot. He is dressed mostly in white with a brocade bolero jacket and chains affixed to the shoulder. As soon as he leaves the stage, however, he's a different person. He completely shifts into a mysterious and intense persona. He puts on his purple trench coat, but it's clear he hasn't settled into the majesty of the color. Rival bandmates Morris and Jerome approach, and he allows them to infantilize and belittle his music in the span of 3 seconds. Moments later, he sees his love interest, Apollonia, for the first time, and while there's an instant connection, he doesn't engage in small talk or even express interest. Oddly, he moves behind her, making her uncomfortable, and then disappears. Back home, when he reaches his doorstep, he encounters the terror of his father physically abusing his mother. He runs in to save her, only to be slapped through the door. Any power or agency he had while on stage at the First Avenue is gone. In his father's house and during his father's assault, he's defeated. Everyone else in the film has a name except for Prince's character. The very fact that he's called the kid, I know I'm being really serious with this presentation and the slides are funny, but anyway. The very fact that he's called just the kid automatically centers him as stuck in a perpetual childhood. As we get to know him, it's apparent that the trauma he's experienced in his home has taken a great toll on him. He appears emotionally stunted. He rarely speaks, and when he does, it's often in short, clipped sentences. It's almost as if he has a type of selective mutism. The only time we really see him express himself is on the stage. Additionally, he displays paranoia over using the music of his bandmates and is utterly dismissive of their attempts to communicate with him about it. He's jealous, and when his attempts to control Apollonia fail, be it joining Morris's band or drinking under the bridge, he becomes enraged and physically abusive. The message here is that unhealed trauma is cyclical and generational. Research has shown that there is indeed a genetic transfer of trauma. Scientific American magazine reported in a 2014 study that researchers shocked male mice lightly while exposing them to the scent of cherry blossoms, triggering a fear reaction to the smell. This reaction led to changes in the mice's brain and sperm at an epigenetic level. Interestingly, the male offspring of those shocked mice also showed a fear response to cherry blossoms, proving that trauma responses carried genetically to offspring. Abuse is trauma response, so what we see in the kid's behavior is just as much genetic as it is learned. One of the most interesting aspects of the film is the way that color underlines its themes, which has been overlooked despite the fact that there is a color in the title. As we know, in Western society, at least, white is thought to represent purity, honesty, and innocence. Black has an association with death, mourning, and fear. Throughout the film, Prince only wears white or black, but occasionally those outfits are paired with a purple trench coat. Use of those shades symbolically represent who the kid is. For starters, his parents are white and black. White and black attire sometimes translates his mood. Curiously, during the love scene, he's fully dressed, wearing both black and white. During the performance of Darling Nikki, the kid is positively cantankerous. For the first time, he appears shirtless, sweaty, and drenched in red light. Excuse me. The red light is known, the color red, is known to symbolize love, passion, and desire, but it can also represent anger and danger. And in this case, red represents his rage at Apollonia for not obeying him, choosing to go with the opposition that has taunted him for some time, and daring to show up with Morris during his performance. He has reached his darkest, angriest place and slut shames her from the stage, the horror of the audience. Apollonia only wears black for the entire film, which I contend is a representation of how the kid views women. He has internalized that women are negative distractions that can't be trusted. He wants love. He's been conditioned to believe, though, that women could lead him away from his art and he could end up on the same path his father landed on. Nevertheless, it is Apollonia who gifts him with the white cloud guitar. The guitar is an important symbol in the film. It represents the friendship and love between the kid and Apollonia, but it also represents purity, renewal, and hope for the future. When Apollonia presents the kid with the white cloud, a gift that she needs to pawn her jewelry to buy, she also tells him that she's decided to join Morris's group, and he slaps her. He is not ready to receive the love she offers him and all that it represents, nor is he ready to fully understand and deal with his anger and jealousy. The kid's father, Francis L., is a brilliant yet failed musician who succumbed to the broken dreams and after effects of a failed Black revolution. Despite having a family melting pot, he is still a Black man living in a racist society. All of this failure and despair leads him to become abusive to his wife. On some level, he thinks he loves his wife, and even though he cannot stop abusing her. It's probably safe to assume that he equates abuse with love because of something in his past. He doesn't trust her, questions her every move, and believes that if she were more supportive, he would become a better husband. Francis is depressive, suffers from alcohol addiction, and is prone to violent outbursts, leading him to attempt to take his own life. The kid witnesses Francis's attempt, and shortly thereafter begins to have a panic attack, eventually envisioning ending his own life by hanging with a rope on the basement floor. In the midst of this fit of rage, he begins destroying everything in sight until he accidentally finds his father's music. Ultimately, music is the kid's savior. Now, when we meet Morris, the kid's rival, he is getting ready for his gig at First Avenue. He lives in a tiny apartment and clearly isn't rich, but he puts on those affectations. He has a valet and driver, Jerome, and he wears designer jackets and Stacey Adams shoes. Now, colorism even plays a part in denoting Morris's status. Dark-skinned Jerome is subservient to light-skinned Morris and does his bidding without question. It appears that Jerome has no life or interest outside of being a servant to Morris. He opens car doors, shines shoes, carries around a giant mirror so that his boss can look at himself at whim, and he helps him get the ladies. He even throws women in garbage cans without question when his boss is displeased. On stage, Morris's signature fashion statement is a flamboyant suit jacket in shades of metallic gold and yellow. Colorpsychology.org says, gold is associated with feelings of success, achievement, and self-worth. Yellow often stands as the symbol of negative personality traits and has become the color of envy, jealousy, and treason. Morris is positioned as the villain of the film, but upon closer look, it is clear that he is also suffering. Now, I'm not a doctor, obviously, but on my research on mental health conditions, I have to conclude that Morris would best be described as a textbook case of someone with narcissistic personality disorder. Thanks to TikTok, narcissism has gotten a lot of press lately, but it is in fact a mental health condition, one that can be rooted in childhood trauma. The grandiosity, need for constant admiration and attention, the arrogance, it's all a mask that shrouds a very fragile soul and someone with a deep sense of emptiness. Those with NPD simply find it impossible to feel good about themselves without indulging in abusiveness. Morris, who feels he is the only star in this town, befriends First Avenue owner Billy and introduces the concept of a girls' group in an effort to get rid of the kid. He hates the kid so much that he goes out of his way to be as oppositional of a foil as he can be. The kid is quiet and non-communicative, but Morris is loud, boisterous, and flirtatious. He relentlessly pursues Apollonia, even though it's clear to him that she and the kid are becoming an item. He is so motivated to drive a wedge between them that he offers her the lead in his new girl group, the same group that he's using to possibly replace the kid in his band at First Avenue. There is only a single moment when we see Morris's fragility, and it makes one wonder what his backstory may be. After Francis's attempt to take his own life, Morris joins his band in the chorus of Let's Go Crazy as they walk towards the kid's dressing room, mocking him. He pretends to go along with the joke, but you can see his reticence. In keeping in line with his narcissistic traits, however, he stops by the door to offer an exceptionally cruel joke of asking, "How's the family?" As the band breaks up in laughter and walks away, Morris stays behind and looks extremely remorseful for what he has just done. For the first time, he allows himself to feel empathy for the kid and guilt for his behavior towards him. This scene compels one to envision Morris as also coming from an abusive environment, and that's why his joke had a boomerang effect. After delving into all of these aspects of mental health and how they're portrayed through the characters of the film, the opening track, Let's Go Crazy, has a new resonance. Immediately in the song, we're taken to church. An organ plays gospel chords as Reverend Kid Prince delivers a sermon on the hardships of this world and how it will make you lose your mind, but the afterworld is where you'll be free. He warns against the dangers of trusting mental health physicians, saying that your shrink in Beverly Hills, Dr. Everything Will Be All Right, will actually make everything go wrong. He lets us know that it's okay to be crazy as long as we don't let the horrors of the world take us down and we put our faith in a higher power. The blues as a music genre, emerged in African American communities of the southern United States around the end of the 19th century and told stories of adversity, despair, longing, and the emotional struggles of everyday life. Musically, Let's Go Crazy is a rock song, but Prince's guitar playing is bred in the bone blues. Purple Rain, the song, is a fusion of gospel and the blues. The songs the Revolution perform with him are rock songs, but Prince lets us know where it's all rooted, and Purple Rain is a kind of musical foundation upon which it all stands. It's the root of the tree. When you think of the colors on the color spectrum, indigo stands out as the deepest hue of all. Much like the darkest of night to the dawning of a new day, it ranges from dark blue to the first shades of purple. That range of blue, that depth of darkness to light, is precisely what one feels when listening to the blues. Purple is connected to spirituality, nobility, wisdom, and hope. When the kid walks out on the stage to perform Purple Rain, he is bathed in blue light. The stage remains blue until the second chorus. A spotlight shines on his face, and light appears from above, exposing the range of shades between lavender to indigo. This symbolic use of lighting represents God shining his light on us through the storm. This is also the first time we see the kid playing the white cloud guitar gifted to him by Apollonia. From this white cloud, Purple Rain descends like a musical baptism. Rain represents cleansing, washing away of sins, spiritual rebirth, and in the purple rain, we're purified from eternal death, anger, jealousy, despair, and we shall experience a renewal. The story of Purple Rain is the story of the blues. The song Purple Rain is the story of the redemption that comes in the new day. The movie Purple Rain was born out of the films that came before and told Black street stories. Purple Rain reveals that in the darkest hour, no matter what we are going through, we can find peace. May you live to see the dawn.